All right, construction champions, it's your host, Ron Nussbaum, and we're here for another great episode where you're going to learn the knowledge that you need to go out and be a champion in construction today, next week, and into next year. We have an amazing guest with us today, and I can't wait to get to it. So let's just jump right into it. Hey, Jim, thanks for being here today.
Ron, it's my pleasure, man. I enjoy serving this industry in the way that we do. So when I get asked to be on a podcast that serves contractors, that's what I'm all about, man.
I absolutely love it. And why don't you tell our audience, all the champions out there, a little bit about yourself?
So I've been in this industry for 26 years now. Working on 26 at the end of 25. I got into it as a salesperson, grew into a sales manager. I've done storm work. I've done retail work, commercial work, had my own company for several years, sold that, had my failures along the way as well. Had both a commercial company and a retail residential roofing company. And I had built a piece of software that went pretty good, and that got purchased by AccuLynx. And so I ended up being the director of sales for AccuLynx for about the first 5 years they were in business, helping them get off the ground. And I noticed as I was going through all that, I would go in and sell the software, and that'd take about an hour. And then I'd be there for 2 or 3 more hours. People asking me, how'd you grow a $40 million company? How'd you hire all those people? How'd you open the locations? How do you pay people? And all these questions. I'm like, somebody should probably help these folks. And I was in a position to do so. So 10 years ago, I started Contractor Coach PRO, and we've had an amazing 10 years of coaching contractors. We've coached hundreds of them. Our contractors did about $4.3 billion in revenue last year, and that's pretty exciting. We've changed lives. We've changed the trajectory of families. We've saved marriages. It's been an enjoyable 10 years doing what we do.
I love it. That's an amazing story, and realizing that you could serve the industry in a way that you could, I think is just amazing. It definitely motivates me watching what you're out there doing and the impact that you're having. So I'm going to ask the $1 million question, and that is, in your mind, what makes a construction champion?
Oh boy, that's such a good question. Could you clarify for me what you mean by a champion?
So in my mind, there's 2 perspectives of a champion. One is what we hear all the time, and that's the winning, the sports perspective, where you win at a high level, that champion. And then there's also the other side of it, where you're a champion for something and to something. And I think to be a complete champion, you have to embody both. You not only have to be a champion for what you're doing, you have to be a champion at it. And that's how you create that complete success. And that's how we create success within the industry. So for me, it's just being that complete package.
Well, it's right up my alley because I'm probably the most competitive person you'll ever meet in your entire life. If there's one thing I can't stand, it is losing. And I feel the same about the people that we coach and their businesses. I don't want them to lose. I actually want them to win and win big. I do believe that this is a competition. If you have anybody that does what you do in your market, you have competition, whether you believe you do or don't. And if you're not the top dog, you're not winning the competition. And in order to do that, there's some hurdles that are in our way. We have an industry that's got a pretty low barrier of entry. You don't have to have a college degree. You don't have to have a high school diploma. Heck, you don't even need to have a GED. You can go out and get a business license, get a hammer and a truck, and boom, you're a contractor, right? The reality is we're missing some key components because the reason most people get into this is one of 2 reasons. One is they're either really good at what they do. You know, they were on a crew, they led a crew, and their work is good. They got asked to do some work on the side. That went good. Somebody else saw it. They got word of mouth, and bam, all of a sudden they're now turning that into their own business as a contractor because they do great work and rely on word of mouth. The other side of it is somebody that was probably pretty good at sales. They didn't like the culture they were a part of. They didn't think they did it right. And why am I doing all this to help that guy make a bunch of profit when I could just keep it myself? So I'm going to go start my own business. The problem being that while both of those things are really important, they're far from being a business person. They find out that when they get into it, there's more to it than just that thing that they were great at. And they end up creating a job for themselves and then employee of their business instead of that business working for them. And so that's what we work on with our contractors. We help them understand that dichotomy and then force them, for lack of a better term, to take some time to work on the business instead of in it, to the point to where it's all they're doing is working on their business and being able to scale that business, grow that business, and achieve what we believe they're mostly after whenever they started their business in the first place, which is personal and financial freedom to do what they want with who they want, when they want, where they want. And I think that's kind of the dream for most folks that start a business, whether you're in contracting or any entrepreneurial business. So that side of it is where I believe we have the ability to be a champion, is understanding that first and then going out and gaining the knowledge and information that you need to be a great contractor. I look at gaining knowledge as a competition. There's so much of it that's available out there today. You hop on Google, watch a YouTube, read a book, listen to a podcast. There's just this almost overload of information, which causes it to feel a bit like noise. Which piece of information, should I do it this way or should I do it that way? And boy, I got 9 different ways to do it. Which way is the way for me to do it? And so that's part of what we do to help people get through that, is get that clear for them, help them get some clear vision to their business, help them get clear on what their dream is, help them get clear on the actions and tasks that are necessary to get there, and literally, like, hand in hand, be their guide along the way. Think about it like, hey, Ron, I got a question for you. Do you play sports? You play in the band? What'd you do when you were in high school?
I play basketball.
Well, hey, man, me too. I'm a big basketball fan. And so imagine you show up for basketball and the coach rolls a ball out and says, go play basketball. Like, you have never stepped on a basketball court in your life before. It's the first time you've ever seen a basketball, and you don't know what to do, right? Business is much the same way. While, yes, this concept of like learning through experience and failing forward, it is valuable. Why in the world would I do that if somebody else has done it before and I can just copy what they do? It's one of the most frustrating things I hear all the time. Fail forward, fail forward, fail forward. Well, if you think about it, you still do that, but you don't do it blindly. This idea of the school of hard knocks and just go out and keep trying and you'll figure it out, I think just takes forever. I might as well go get somebody to help me, whether that be a mentor, a business friend, a coach, whatever that may be. Get that somebody that's traveled the path before you that can actually say, hey, this is how you dribble the basketball. This is how you pass the basketball. You're still not going to be good at it whenever you start it, but at least you have a point of reference and you're going to get there faster. Those fundamentals will grow faster. The skills will get better quicker with somebody giving you the guidance on, all right, so that's dribbling. Now let's do a crossover. Let's use your left hand. All right, now let's do a cut. Let's show you what a cut is. Okay, this is how you shoot a basketball. And each time that you do it, it's learning something new from the get-go, but you have a point of reference to actually see. You have a point of reference that's been there before. But when you don't have that guidance, you're shooting in the dark. It's like chasing a treasure. You go, hey man, there's a treasure over there, but there's no map. Just start digging. pretty bad approach to trying to get to your dreams.
Yeah, but just like you had said, a lot of times is that transition comes from somebody that was in the industry and has made the decision, hey, I'm going to go out and do this. And you just think it's easy. And while you was talking about that in the basketball reference, it just came to what came to my mind was, Kobe and Jordan had a coach. And you're talking two of the best of all time. And they didn't just leave it up to chance. Like I just read this book that really talked about intentional practice and how important that is. Instead of just showing up and checking the boxes or saying, hey, I am practicing, I'm trying to get better, but you're not really intentionally doing it because you don't have that guidance. And what you're talking about is very important to be able to get that mission, where are we even wanting this to go? I think a lot of times the guys go from the field to business ownership and they're not even exactly sure where they want to take it, other than they didn't want to work for the company they worked for before.
Yeah. And you talked about coaches, right? Like we've all had them at some point in our lives. Our parents were coaches. It helped us learn the basics of what we needed to know to survive. Our teachers were coaches. Without that, you're literally operating in a vacuum. And that's what most contractors are doing. They're in their business. It's the only thing they see. They're not getting that outside influence or guidance that they need that could really, just shorten the time frame dramatically to becoming a master, being an expert at what you do and helping you achieve your goals faster. I have coaches. I've got a marketing coach. I have a financial coach. I have a leadership coach. I have coaches myself. I spent over $500,000 in coaching in my lifetime, worth every penny. It has put me in a position to do what I do today. And then without them, I would still be struggling to get to what level of success that I feel I have. It's not what some people would call success. I don't have like this gigantic, huge house with all the fancy cars and all that stuff, but I'm happy. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy serving. And I would never have been able to do that without some pretty good guidance along the way. You mentioned Kobe and Jordan. Like, man, those are elites in NBA. But Tom Brady's got multiple coaches. That guy's got coaches for nutrition and fitness and you name it. Why don't we? It just seems odd to me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And you even look, Tiger Woods has a swing coach. Somebody they say that people emulate his swing, has somebody teaching him to be better at it. Why do you think there's not necessarily a stigma, but people are so not willing to go get the help when the help's there? And there's plenty. I'm a big component of, there's a lot of people out there that can help you. It's about finding the one that you connect with the most and leaning into that. But for some reason, especially in construction, we tend to run the other direction when the help's right there.
Think about who we are. We tend to be A-type personalities, visionaries, entrepreneurial minded, pretty aggressive. Pride and ego get in the way. Like, I can do this. I don't need help doing this, right? And nothing great that I've ever seen achieved was done by one person. It took many people, even Christ himself, while he was an amazing individual that started a movement that is still growing today. He had 12 folks that were giving him a pretty heavy hand. And so this idea that you can go it alone and get it figured out, another way of putting a bunch of hurdles in your path that are unnecessary. This concept that that's pride and ego. The other one is that they look at it as an expense, instead of an investment. Hey, that's going to cost money. That's going to cost me a bunch of money in some cases. I know this, my financial coach costs me a bunch of money, but he makes me even more. So I don't look at it as an expense. I look at it as an investment. It is, I give some money and I get way more money back. Why would I not do that? Our average return on investment with the clients that we work with within the first 12 months after working with them is 1,970%. Why in the world would you not go get that kind of help? You can't get that in the stock market.
Mm.
It's still one of those things that I think as we move forward in the world, I think it's going to become more common practice. When I started, I was the first one that I knew of. There was a couple of older organizations. They weren't really coaches. They were more consultants, and there's a big difference. But now you can't shake a stick without hitting one. They seem to be all over the place, which is fine with me. I think that's great. We need to raise the bar in our home service contractor world, because the perception of the homeowner of us is somewhere between ditch digger and con man. And I can't change it by myself. I can have an impact, but I can't change it by myself. So seeing others coaching actually is a good thing to me. I don't operate from this place of scarcity. I operate from a place of abundance. There's plenty of contractors out there that need the help, and I can't coach them all. So find a coach that fits you. Find a coach that understands you, listens to you. I can give all kinds of guidance on how to find a great coach.
What you're saying is that's part of my mission. A part of what I see is like, you can't change the entire industry yourself. It's really going to take us coming together, leaders throughout the industry, thought leaders, contractors, builders, home service providers, coaches, everybody coming together and saying, we just need to be better as an entire industry. And how do we do that? It's one of the reasons I started the podcast, was to start having that conversation. And I come at it from the same perspective as you do, is the collaboration. Like, the industry is big enough. Like, it doesn't take a lot of the industry to have a successful business, because it's that big. But
I think the bar is going to get raised whether people want it to or not, because the clients I coach are going to kick your butt. The clients that some of the other folks out there coach are going to kick your butt. And imagine playing a game. Like we're playing a game here. It's a pretty high stakes game. And one of you has a coach that's been there before doing that thing, and one of you doesn't. Who do you think is going to win in the end? And in the end, you got a choice. You're either going to find a coach or find somebody that can help you fill in the gaps of the things you don't know, or you're going to decide this isn't the business for you. Thus, eliminating the folks that don't want to raise the bar and propagating more people that are raising the bar. And at some point, we'll hit a point where homeowners now look at us a little bit differently.
Yeah, and that's where I see we're getting. I agree exactly with what you're saying there, is that we're on the way there, and we're going to weed out the people that don't want to get there. And by having conversations like this and opening the door so people understand that we have to, you can't just go out and do it yourself. No matter how good you think you are or how far you become, at some point in time, you're going to hit a roadblock that is going to completely knock you down. And, a lot of people don't survive that unless they figure it out and find somebody, or they find somebody beforehand.
Well, we talked quite a bit so far about the competition side of that champion thing that you asked me about. But there is another side of it, is championing something. And that's what we're talking about right now, just championing this idea of raising the bar and becoming professional, something that kids sitting in high school today aspire to be a part of. They're not sitting in high school today going, man, I can't wait to be a painter. I can't wait to be a roofer. I can't wait to. But I think that can change. And I have seen, and just in the last 2 years, these stats just came out about a week ago, there was a 4.1% rise in people getting into the trades for the first time in 20 something years 2 years ago. And it was 7.6 last year. So there is a shift happening in our world, in our industry, and what we do as home service contractors. All we got to do is look around a little bit in the neighborhoods that we live in, and that guy's driving a nice car, and he's got a cool truck, and he gets to go on vacation. What does he do? Oh, he's a contractor? I never thought about that before. And then their kid goes to work for him. And then he sees the opportunity. My own daughter, this is a funny story. My own daughter, she's 24 years old. She went through college, finishing her master's program in psychology, comes to me and says, "Hey, whenever I get done with college here in Texas, I'm moving to Minnesota, which is, we used to live up there. That's where my office was. Do you think you can connect me with one of your contractor friends?" I went, "Well, what do you mean? What do you want to do?" She goes, I think I want to go sell roofing and stuff. And I went, "What?" Like, we just paid a bunch of money. There's a whole bunch of money there. She goes, "Yeah, but you never told me how much money you made." I said, "Well, who told you?" She goes, "Well, I watch your stuff and I see the people that are on there. There's a lot of opportunity in there. I want to go get involved in that." And she just saw one of the guys that I actually trained into the industry 23 years ago, sold by himself, sold every single one of them residentially, $18 million in sales last year. It's the biggest number I've ever heard. But she can do math really fast and she can figure out commissions on that. And she's like, "That's a pretty good income. I know I won't make it overnight, but even if I was to be able to do the average, that's really good money. That's more than what I would make in college or with my college degree." This industry is a beautiful industry. It really is. There's lots of opportunity in it. A lot of people don't want to do it. And so it affords this opportunity that may not exist in this uber competitive tech world that's out there, trying to get a job at Google or places like that. I find it fascinating to kind of like see that with my own daughter.
Yeah, that is. And I had a great conversation a while back with a guy about the same thing and how you're seeing that generational change, because of exactly what you said is people are starting to see that we're not a bunch of ditch diggers or convicts, or like the backbone of America is built on these contractors and builders that are out there making it happen every day and running some of the most successful businesses in the country. And that's starting to filter down throughout the generations, and people are starting to look at it with a different light.
Yeah. And so when you talked about championing something, that's what I'm championing. And I think contractors should champion that. I think they should reach out to their local high schools and trade schools and say, "Hey, I want to share something with you," and go in and talk and tell them about what it is that they do. Champion how fulfilling this actually can be beyond just being a contractor. And really, you think about it, yeah, we do contracting work, but are we really contractors? I think we can be something more. I think we can be leadership development companies. I think we can be self-improvement companies. I believe we can be recruiting companies, training companies, companies that have an identity that just happens to do contracting. And when you have that mind shift that this is who we really are, this is what our identity is, you stop putting the stigma of, "Hey, we're a roofer or a painter or a deck installer" on it. And you're like, "Hey, I'm doing something pretty impactful here." And so I try to champion that. And I want to take it one step further with this idea of champion. We actually have them in our own business. We use this term all the time, that we have champions inside of our business that have a talent for something that they champion. And so you're in the CRM world, if I remember things correctly. One of the things I found out was that I had to find who that champion was going to be with each company that we worked with. Who was the person that was going to do the dirty work, figure it out, get the SOPs put together, hold people accountable to doing it, and making sure that this thing was going to be a thing, because you should never buy a piece of software unless somebody is the actual champion of it. Because if there's nobody that's the champion and you just like it and you think, "Hey, that's cool, I want to buy it because it's going to solve all my problems," but nobody's going to do the work to make it valuable, you're, for lack of a better term, pissing money down a drain.
Mhm.
The real and that applies to all things. We actually have a champion of fun here. Jim Johnson can be a pretty focused individual sometimes, and sometimes forgets about the fun side of things. And I knew how important it was to our business to have fun doing what we do. And there was somebody in our company that really enjoys that side of the thing. They're now the champion of fun. They do the fun stuff. They send the funny jokes and funny memes. They send the birthday gifts and anniversary kudos. It's that type of thing that they own. It doesn't cost me anything, but they have a talent for it and they enjoy it and it fulfills them. Every one of us have champions in our business. And the best kind of champion is the one that does what you don't do well. We've got software and technology champions around here. We have HR champions, finance champions, and it has made our world just so much easier to do what we do because we all know the part that we fill in the overall, which gives each of us fulfillment.
I love it. And that's exactly on point. I mean, that's what we have to create as we continue to move the industry forward. And it is about finding the people that can champion what you're not good at. And I feel like that is something that we lack because we do try to be everything and everywhere. So I love that. And that I think that's a great way to head into the end of the show here and challenge the listeners out there on who are you letting champion what at your company? Or are you trying to just be I call it a superstar a lot of times because superstars just try to do everything. They don't bring that championship culture in. So,
well, think about it this way. I know you want to wrap up, but think about it this way. If somebody has a talent in an area and they become the champion of that area, that means they're passionate about it, which gives them purpose and meaning, which is all any of us are looking for. And we can actually apply that same concept to our business when we have purpose behind our contracting business, that we're doing this for something more than just putting a roof on or installing a deck or installing a fence, that we're actually having an impact, whether internally, externally, or both. That passion or purpose is the thing that gives us the drive to do all the things we don't want to do, which makes the difference in a successful company and an unsuccessful company, because there's a lot of dirty work and hard work that has to be done. And if you don't have enough purpose behind it or enough want to, that you feel like the goal is worthy of chasing, you're not going to do that hard work. You're not going to develop the processes you're going to need. You're not going to develop the sales system you need. You're not going to develop the training program and recruiting programs and HR processes and everything that you need in your business to truly be a business. You're going to continue to be in that never-ending cycle of working in it instead of on it.
Amen to that. I mean, absolutely creating that purpose and value for what people do. That was absolutely amazing, Jim. It has been an amazing episode. For all the construction champions out there listening that want to continue to grow or want to reach out, what's the best way to connect with you?
You can look me up, Jim Johnson, and on most everything I put like either the Jim Johnson or the Contractor Coach. So any of the social media stuff, you should be able to find me. And the only reason I do that is because my name is Jim Johnson, not because I am some kind of egotistical person. It's just hard to find a Jim Johnson out there. Look up Contractor Coach Pro on any of your social media, or go to our website, contractorcoachpro.com. And anybody listening to this, if they click on the take an assessment button on the website, we'll actually do a free assessment. It'll take you 15, 20 minutes. It's not it's not a joke thing. It's a real thing. And from that assessment, we're going to be able to identify at least 2 or 3 areas where you could improve your business. When you complete it, we'll send a link to you to click on to set up a coaching call, like a free one. We won't charge you anything. It's not a sales pitch or anything like that. We're actually going to coach you and help you with those 2 or 3 things. Maybe coaching's right for you. Maybe you like us and we fit for you, and you decide to coach with us. Great. If not, that's cool too. We just want to give you a little bit of help to help you on your journey.
I love it. And just the heart to just be able to say, hey, we just want to help. Maybe we're fit, maybe we're not. And, that's what really matters out there. Thank you once again for being on the show today. And I definitely have appreciated it.
My pleasure and an honor to hang out for a little bit and share with contractors.
Awesome. All right, construction champions. We covered a lot of great details today. And I think everybody should go home tonight, look in the mirror, and ask themselves, what am I champion for my business? What am I champion for the industry? How am I continuing to raise the bar so my generation and future generations looks at the construction industry different? And then who at your company could be a champion for something that you don't do very well, or we just know we don't like to do? Let's take some time and figure that out here today and tomorrow as we think about what we heard today on this episode. So until next time, go be the construction champion you're meant to be.